गुड मॉर्निंग फ्रेंड्स। दोस्तों, आज हम लोग इंडियन पॉलिटी के 25 क्वेश्चंस हैं, ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस को डिस्कस करने की प्रयास करेंगे। और मुझे लगता है कि ये सवाल आपके एग्ज़ाम्स में काफ़ी मददगार होंगे। आई बिलीव दैट these questions will be of some help for you in your examination and also in terms of conceptual understanding of questions on Indian polity. So first of all friends, let's begin. ये साधारणतः जो पहला सवाल है ये साधारणतः चीफ मिनिस्टर्स ऑफ स्टेट्स से संबंधित है। सवाल क्या है? whether or not chief ministers are member of which of these organizations. For example, you have Niti Aayog, then you have Finance Commission, you have National Development Council, and then Election Commission. So some of them are statutory bodies, whereas some of them are not statutory bodies or constitutional bodies. For example, Niti Aayog is not a constitutional body, or say not a statutory body as such. So what I'm trying to say is that the chief ministers are therefore not member of Niti Aayog, or chief ministers of states are not member of the Election Commission of India. They are not member of Election Commission of India. They are not member of Finance Commission. वित्त आयोग भी एक संवैधानिक प्रावधान है जिस प्रकार की इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया है। तो इसी कारण आप देखेंगे कि ये इसमें चीफ मिनिस्टर्स का सदस्य बनना यानी कि मेंबर बनना इस तरह की कोई प्रावधान नहीं है। सो नीति आयोग एवं फिनेंस कमीशन और इलेक्शन कमीशन में चीफ मिनिस्टर्स मेंबर नहीं होते हैं। सो एक है जो जिसको कहते हैं नेशनल डेवलपमेंट काउंसिल। नेशनल डेवलपमेंट काउंसिल में चीफ मिनिस्टर ज़रूर सदस्य होते हैं। सो चीफ मिनिस्टर्स ऑफ स्टेट्स आर मेंबर ऑफ नेशनल Development Council or NDC, right? This second question is a very important question. There are many things in this particular question. For example, we are discussing these questions, but we are not confined to these questions as such. We discuss many things while discussing a particular question. For example, the second question is, दोस्तों ये देखिए सेकंड क्वेश्चन क्या है कि ये जो सेकुलर शब्द है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ऐड किए गए हैं, प्रीएम्बुल ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में प्रीएम्बुल में ऐड किए गए हैं, तो ये कौन सी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट के तहत की गई है? ठीक है, 41, 42, 43 और 44 कौन सी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट के बाद ये सेकुलर शब्द इंडिया के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के प्रीएम्बुल में ऐड किए गए हैं? तो सवाल ये है, देखिए ये है जो आंसर है वो है 42nd अमेंडमेंट। 42nd अमेंडमेंट एक्चुअली चेंज्ड एंड अमेंडेड अ वास्ट पार्ट ऑफ Indian Constitution. So it added many things to Indian Constitution. For example, 42nd Amendment of 1976. In fact, 1976 में 42nd अमेंडमेंट आया था और उसमें काफ़ी ज़्यादा संविधान में संशोधन किए गए थे। सो 42nd अमेंडमेंट एक्ट ऑफ 1976 इज़ देयरफॉर रेफर्ड टू एज व्हाट, मिनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के नाम से भी समझा जाता है, राइट? मिनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कहा जाता है 42nd अमेंडमेंट को। बिकॉज वाई इट इज़ कॉल्ड मिनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन? इसे मिनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्यों कहा जाता है? ये जो 42nd अमेंडमेंट किया गया था उसको मिनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन किया क्यों कहा जाता है? वाई इट इज़ कॉल्ड मिनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन? It is called mini constitution because it made extensive changes to the Indian constitution. For example, it added many terms like secular, socialist to the preamble. It also introduced 10 new fundamental duties for citizens, right? Fundamental duties क्या है? जो फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज हैं, फंडामेंटल राइट्स वेर पार्ट ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, आर पार्ट ऑफ इंडियन constitution right from the adoption of Indian constitution, but the fundamental duties were added to Indian constitution after the 42nd or through 42nd amendment of India's constitution. It also shifted several subjects from, say for example, state list to the concurrent list, gave the president's office the power to be bound by the cabinet's advice, and significantly curtailed the power of the judiciary also. So therefore 42nd amendment is one of the most important amendments in India, and we need to understand 42nd amendment in greater detail. So in next videos we'll discuss chapters. For example, we'll discuss fundamental rights and fundamental duties and so on, including constitutional amendments, and then we'll be discussing all these aspects in greater detail. For example, 42nd amendment added the terms secular and socialist to the preamble of Indian constitution, including the word integrity, right? It also introduced the fundamental duties, as I said. It added a part called part 4th A, part 4th A to the Indian constitution, and it introduced 10 fundamental duties for Indian citizens, such as, for example, respecting the constitution, protecting environment, and safeguarding public property, etc. It also transferred subjects to the concurrent list from state list, and 5 subjects including education and forest were actually moved from the state list to the concurrent list, right? And 42nd amendment therefore gave more power to the central government. There were also allegations, right, कि ये जो 42nd अमेंडमेंट के तहत न्यायपालिका के शक्तियों के ऊपर भी थोड़ा सा कटौती या curtailed किया गया था. So it curtailed judicial power also. The amendment significantly reduced the judicial review powers of the Supreme Court and High Court. It also made the president to be bound by cabinet advice. It changed Article 74 to make president bound by the advice of the Council of Ministers. It also extended the terms of the legislature, like the parliament, that is the Lok Sabha, particularly Lok Sabha, and Vidhan Sabhas or state legislature, from 5 years to 6 years, right? It also established tribunals, for example administrative tribunals. It created new part called part 14A to establish administrative tribunals for different matters, which also removed the High Court's jurisdiction over these matters. It also gave Parliament more power over the judiciary. It amended Article 32 and 226 among others to limit the power of the judiciary to challenge legislation. So basically the power to the judicial review, and particularly in the context of fundamental rights, that is in the context of writs, uh, or in other words, constitutional remedies, that is article 32 and article 226. Under article 32, Supreme Court issues writs in order to enforce fundamental rights, whereas under article 226, high courts actually have the power to uh, issue writs to enforce fundamental rights. So it also empowered the center during emergencies. It allowed the central government to deploy, for example, central forces in a state to deal with law and order issues, and extend it president's rule to 1 year. So these are some of the important parts of uh, 42nd amendment to Indian Constitution. The third question is, under which article of Constitution of India can the fundamental rights of members of armed forces be specially restricted? So in what circumstances the fundamental rights of armed forces can be restricted or are restricted? It is article 33 of Indian Constitution. Who appoints the Chief Election Commissioner of India? Is it Prime Minister? Is it Parliament of India? Or is it President of India? Or it is Supreme Court of India? It is the President of India who appoints Chief Election Commissioner. And the Chief Election Commissioners and Election Commission in particular are in news, so you need to read more about it. The power and function of the Election Commission of India, and the powers of the election commissioners, and how they are actually appointed, etc. Uh, we need to understand particularly the power and functions of the uh, appointment of election commissioners and power and functions of the Election Commission of India. So the next question is, which article of Constitution deals with right to equality? So this is article 14 to 18, which deals with the right to equality. How many fundamental duties are incorporated in the Constitution? There are 11 fundamental duties incorporated in the Constitution of India. You have directive principles of state policy, from which Constitution directive principles of state policies are borrowed. It is borrowed from the Irish Constitution. The next question is, the President can proclaim emergency under which article? Under article, President of India can proclaim emergency under which articles? The President can actually proclaim emergency under article 352 also, then you have 356 also, and then 360. So for national emergency, 352, 356 is for introduction of presidential rule in a state, and 360 is basically Bithia or financial emergency, right? So these three articles are related to emergency power or emergency which the president can actually proclaim, right? So the answer is D. Which among the following is not a fundamental right? Right to property, right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to property is not a fundamental right, because it has been removed from the fundamental right, and it is a legal right to acquire uh, property. The next question is with regard to Finance Commission. Finance Commission is constituted under which article? It is a constitutional body, right? So Finance Commission, like the Election Commission of India, is a constitutional body. So it is in article 280, 280, right? 280, which deals with Finance Commission of India. Which one of the following statement regarding the preamble is correct? Right. So it can be amended like any other provisions. It is not part of the Constitution. It is part of the basic structure and can be amended without changing the basic structure. The Parliament can amend it by an objective resolution. Right. So the right answer is it is a part of the basic structure and can be amended without changing the basic structure of the Constitution of India. So this whole idea of basic structure actually developed out of a judicial pronouncement or judgment of the Supreme Court of India, which is called Kesavanand Bharati case, which we'll discuss in later videos. The next question is, therefore the answer is C, right? In a federal state, the states are more powerful than the center. I think this is in a federal state, the states are more powerful than the center. Center is more powerful than the states. It is the presidential government. The Constitution, divides the power between the center and states. So in a federal government, this is very important because you need to have a written and rigid constitution. So therefore, Constitution actually divides the power between the center and states, right? It is also a fact that in federal system, the states have also power, and the states are also powerful, like the American case, American Constitution, right? So the right answer is D, that is Constitution divides power between the center and state in a federal state. India opted for federal form of government because it is a vast territory, it is cultural integration, it is linguistic and regional diversity or administrative convenience. So basically it is because of its uh, regional diversity and linguistic regions, diversity, regional and linguistic diversity. I think the Indian government adopted the federal form of government, and the federal government in principle or in theory is also said to be mainly because of the linguistic or regional diversity. So if a country is diverse, then it is always good for adopting federal form of government, right? But there are many other reasons also, but among these alternatives, this is the right option. The preamble of Indian Constitution was adopted in the year 1949. Which was the president? Who was the president of the Constituent Assembly? It was Rajendra Prasad was the president of the Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly actually drafted the Constitution of India. कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली भारत के संविधान का रचना किया था और उसके अध्यक्ष थे राजेंद्र प्रसाद. Constitution of India was adopted on which date? Constitution of India was adopted on 26 November 1949. Which article abolishes untouchability? Article 17 abolishes the practice of untouchability in Indian case or in India. Then you have the next question: which part of Indian Constitution deals with citizenship? Part second of Indian Constitution deals with citizenship. Part third of Indian Constitution deals with fundamental rights, right? Then you have the next question: the right to constitutional remedies is mentioned in which article of Indian Constitution? So it is Article 32 of Indian Constitution. The concept of judicial review in Indian Constitution was borrowed from which country? So it is from US judicial system or US practice. This whole idea of judicial review was borrowed. The first Lok Sabha was constituted in which year? It was constituted in 1952, because the election to Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies were held between 1951 and 52, and therefore the first Lok Sabha was constituted in 1952. Who was the chairman of the drafting committee of India's Constituent Assembly? It was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was the chairman of the drafting committee of Indian Constituent Assembly. The electoral college for the election of President of India consists of which among the following? So only Lok Sabha members, this is wrong. Only Rajya Sabha members, it is wrong. Elected members of both the houses of parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, that is correct. Legislative members of legislative assemblies of the state, elected members of legislative assemblies of the state, this is also correct. So the C option is right. The Supreme Command of Defence Forces in India is vested in the Defence Minister or Prime Minister or President or Cabinet Committee on Security. It is vested in the hands of the President of India. The next question is, which article actually deals with the amendment right of Indian Constitution? भारत के संविधान के संशोधन करने के लिए कौन सा आर्टिकल भारत के संविधान में है? Which article? Which among these articles deals with what? The amendment of Indian Constitution. तो भारत के संविधान के कौन सी अनुच्छेद हैं जो संविधान संशोधन के बारे में बात करता है? ये हैं आर्टिकल 368. So friends, these are some of the rudimentary but some important questions, MCQs on Indian polity for all of you. If you could understand, and also if you have any queries in particular, you can give your comment, and also you can give comment and tell us to make videos on the subject you'd like to learn. So how you feel about these MCQs, this video? Please give your feedback, and also do not forget to like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you very much.